Snob here for another whiskey review, and today I have a very popular choice in the whiskey industry. It's going to be the Maker's Mark Kentucky Straight Bourbon. So I tend to neglect the more popular whiskey. Typically when I try it, I'm not very fond of it. Any of those really popular ones that everybody knows, I really dislike. Dislike's a strong word. I just definitely prefer many other whiskeys over them. But Maker's Mark, a lot of people have suggested this. They said that it's really good bourbon, and yeah, they have a couple little unique, cool things that have kind of graduated me towards this. And one of the things is the fact that it's got that wax dipped top there. So that's a really cool, unique thing. That's actually hand dipped. So they take every bottle individually by hand and they dip it in for that wax layer. So that's one of their signature things, obviously, is having that. And it's cool because every time it's different. So this one, it's cool because it has a really long drip that's almost touching the label on the bottom there. So that's a really unique thing about it. One of the other reasons I don't tend to do popular whiskeys is everybody knows everything about them. Even people who aren't necessarily interested in whiskey tend to know things about the more popular whiskey brands. But I'm going to go ahead and take my shot and try and introduce you guys to some things to do with Maker's Mark. And while I'm kind of going over the history, I'm going to open this guy up. I haven't actually opened it yet, so it's going to be my first time trying it. So let's see what I have to say about Maker's Mark. So one of the weird things, and I really don't know how I feel about this, but back in the day, oh wow, it's a twist-on cap. Wow, sorry about the pause there. I am extremely disappointed that it's a screw-on cap. That is a little bit mind-blowing to me. I mean, they have all this wax crap for no reason at all if it's a screw-down crap. Anyways, one of the reasons I don't like popular whiskeys is they get away with a lot. But so back in, I believe, 1953, Bill Sr., the founder of Maker's Mark, ended up burning a 170-year bourbon recipe that was in the family. Like I said, for 170 years, he burnt it because he was at a stage in his life where all whiskey was terrible, according to him. All of the whiskey was tremendously terrible, and he wanted to give a fresh new start on it, and he burned the recipe and he started new, and apparently he's constantly adapting and changing things. So some people will love that. I definitely don't love that. I kind of like tradition and history. I feel like if something's good, don't change it. But, you know, that's just me. So another thing is that the Maker's Mark, actually in the labeling, the whiskey is spelt without an E. So it's the whiskey without an E between the before the Y. The reason they do that isn't just to piss you off, because every American whiskey that I know of has an E in it. So the reason for that is Scotland was original for whiskey, and they had the no E, and that was in Scotland. And then Irish came out with the whiskey spelt with an E to separate themselves from the Scotch market. And then America just kind of adapted to the E. It's no regulations on whether you have an E in the name or not. But the reason they do it is because it actually relates back to their family roots, because they're actually from Scotland originally. But I'm gonna go ahead and take a dive into this popular bourbon here and see what I think of this fan choice here. Some barrel notes on there. Spice, definitely spicy. A little bit of vanilla as well, tiny bit of vanilla. Not getting a whole lot on the nose. Yeah, dive into the palate, see if that maybe uncovers some new stuff on the nose as well. Um, heavy barrel spice on the palate. A little bit of cherry, dark chocolate. Yeah. It's a little bit briny, to be honest with you. I was expecting from all the rave that this received that it was going to be a little bit smoother. But it's smooth, but it's not surprisingly smooth. It's tasty, but it's not complex in any way, shape, or form. See if I go back on the nose, see if I can get anything else here. Candy corn with a little bit of apple and cherry. Vanilla and barrel spice is still very present. It's not bad. It's a little bit of cream to it for sure, and either than the subtle fruit notes and the barrel spice, there's not a whole lot else that I can pick out of there. It's a very old-fashioned kind of tasting bourbon, which is weird because he burnt the family recipe because he didn't like the way bourbon tasted. But yeah, I don't know. This is a company that's really had some up and downs in the whiskey industry. Like back in 2013, Maker's Mark actually had a really big problem. They had a low amount of whiskey left, and to spread out their market, they were going to water down their whiskey. Now, they released a statement on this in 2013 saying they're going to water down their whiskey so it wasn't going to no longer be the 45% 90 proof. It was going to be watered down to, I believe, 42%. And people blew up about it, they hated it, and they didn't end up following through, so they continue to keep their whiskey at their 90 proof. So at least they kept it the way it was when people freaked out. Another really interesting thing about this brand is back in 1958, there was a commercial for it. And the commercial, this was the slogan of the commercial. It tastes expensive because it is. Now, this is a brand that I really don't know which way to lean towards. A lot of this stuff, I kind of want to say, yeah, he's really a FU kind of guy, he said, FU family recipe, burned it, I'm going to do my own thing, this stuff sucks. He spelled it without an E because he said, well, screw you, everybody else spells it with, I'm going to do it without. And then, yeah, that ballsy campaign advertisement, it tastes expensive because it is, kind of blew my mind when I read that, especially because it doesn't necessarily taste expensive. It tastes a little bit better than like your $30 bourbon, like your Jack Daniels. Actually, I don't want to say that. I'd have to have the Jack Daniels beside me to compare it, to be honest with you. Nothing's blown me away about this bourbon. I heard a lot of things about the cherry notes, but the cherry notes are, honestly, in my opinion, kind of hard to pick out. So yeah, I don't know, nothing's blowing me away about this. I like my Knob Creek a lot better. It's more of a candy bourbon than a lot of them, for sure. That's one thing I will say, is it's got a very candy taste to it. And it is a little bit smoother than some of them out there. I'm sure it's smoother than Jack Daniels, with that being said. But yeah, for being a popular brand, not bad. For being a popular whiskey, I really can't complain, especially when the price point is so good. If they were charging $90 for this, then I might have a problem. If they were charging $70 for this, I might have a problem. $45 they're charging right now. In my opinion, that is too much for this bourbon. Yeah, I think this should be a $30 bourbon, $28 bourbon. It's nothing special. Give it a shot. If you like bourbon, it's not a bad choice. I mean, it's got a cool cap to it. I'm really disappointed that it's not an actual cork. It's just a screw down cap. It really defeats the purpose of all the wax around it. But hey, We're dealing with a popular brand here. What can we say? They're not trying to edge towards the whiskey connoisseurs and the whiskey enthusiasts. They're trying to edge towards the general population. You know, they just want people to think it's cool, and that's the extent of it. So with that being said, not overly impressed with the Maker's Mark. It's still a good bourbon. It's still a good whiskey. Pick it up. You know, if you're gonna spend $40 on a bourbon, and you know you're fighting between a couple name brands like Wild Turkey and Jack Daniels and blah blah blah, then I would go with the Maker's Mark. Definitely give it a shot at some point in your life if you don't want to spend a stupid amount on bourbon. This is not bad. It's actually relatively close to my Blanton's, in my opinion. It's fairly similar in taste, and it's cheaper. It's definitely cheaper, but it's also definitely got a cheaper taste to it. So thumbs up and thumbs down. This is really, I have no basis on this. This is a budget bourbon. There's nothing special about it, but there's nothing terrible about it either. Yeah, so if you liked my video, guys, please hit that thumbs up. If you have any comments or anything like that, leave them below. Hit that subscribe button. Other than that, guys, I think I'm done for the night. Cilantro, and I'll see you for my next whiskey review.